And here is the Writer's Almanac for Saturday, May the 30th, 2020.
It was on this day, 1431, Joan of Arc was burned at the stake in Rouen, France, a martyrdom that made her a saint and made her a national icon in France. Julian Barnes said that Joan of Arc is to France what Robin Hood is to England. Statues of her all over parks, churches in France. Nearly every French town has a street named for her, Jeanne d'Arc. She was a 13-year-old peasant girl when she began to hear voices in her garden, the voices of Saints Michael, Margaret, and Catherine, who told her that she needed to save France, which at the time was engaged in a war against the English. The English had the French town of Orleans under siege, and in April 1429, Joan asked the French government for troops that she could lead to liberate the city. She had met with the crown prince, and with theologians they thought she could be of use, and so she was given an army to command, which she led, going into battle wearing a white suit of armor, carrying up high a banner with an image of the Trinity. She was hit in the shoulder by an English arrow, but she survived, and her army succeeded in liberating Orleans, and the English troops fled, and Joan's army took over. In another battle, she was taken hostage by Burgundian troops and sold to the English, who imprisoned her for over a year. She was chained to a wooden block while interrogators tried to extract confessions from her. Then in February 1431, she was brought to trial under an ecclesiastical court. She stuck to her story that she'd heard the voices of saints, and it was they who commanded her to serve France, which convicted her of heresy. And on this day, when she was 19, she was burned at the stake. Exonerated 25 years after she died, canonized in 1920, portrayed in more than 20 films, and the subject of thousands and thousands of books, one of which was by Mark Twain. Spent 12 years researching her life and wrote a book, Personal Recollections of Joan of Arc, a fictional account, which Twain later said, "I like Joan of Arc best of all my books." It is a book that is mostly devoid of the humor that Mark Twain was famous for. He genuinely admired Joan of Arc, and he wrote a very earnest book about her.
Here's a poem for today, an Old English folk song by an unknown author, Poor but Honest. She was poor, but she was honest, victim of the squire's whim. First he loved her, then he left her, and she lost her honest name. Then she ran away to London for to hide her grief and shame. There she met another squire, and she lost her name again. See her riding in her carriage in the park, and all so gay. All the nibs and nobby persons come to pass the time of day. See the little old-world village where her aged parents live, drinking the champagne she sends them, but they never can forgive. In the rich man's arms she flutters, like a bird with broken wing. First he loved her, then he left her, and she hasn't got a ring. See him in the splendid mansion entertaining with the best, while the girl that he has ruined entertains a sordid guest. See him in the House of Commons making laws to put down crime, while the victim of his passions trails her way through mud and slime. Standing on the bridge at midnight, she says, "Farewell, blighted love." There's a scream, a splash, good heavens, what is she a-doing of? Then they drag her from the river, water from her clothes they wrang, for they thought that she was drowned, but the corpse got up and sang. It's the same the whole world over. It's the poor that gets the blame. It's the rich that get the pleasure. Isn't it a blooming shame? Poor but Honest, a poem by an unknown author. That's the Writer's Almanac for Saturday, the 30th of May. Be well, do good work, and keep in touch.